All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the broadcast. Once again, it is another day. Charlie McGrath will be here with us in just a couple of short moments. He had to make a little mad dash into the other room and do some things. He'll be here in just a couple of moments. I want to say hello to everyone on Oracle Broadcasting. I want to say hello to everyone on YouTube and to everyone on the Rinse Radio Network, as well as everyone in the chat room who is once again in there day after day, doing the things that they do, sharing information, communicating, and so forth, hopefully connecting and making, new communities. You know, people have spoken to me a lot about this idea of community and things that they could do. Well, the thing that you need to do is, first and foremost, you need at least one individual with some grasp on the law and the laws that I talk about and how the natural common law actually functions. And, you know, there are a lot of people who call into the show who know a lot about different things that have happened throughout history, and these are things you're going to have to sit down and talk about in a very local, closed environment. Your community needs to be having these communications. If you don't have someone like that, then you need to find someone or appoint someone who is going to glom themselves onto an information source and is going to gather that information, because these decisions need to truly be started at a local level. And, you know, as Karen Tostada, who is a friend and broadcaster here who works with Wide Awake News all the time, she talks about a strike, and really it should be an official strike, a boycott. Simply boycotting the system. Going out of your way. You see, people seem to don't understand when I say make a community. Well, it's not about throwing parties and just hanging out with people. Seek out individuals to add to your community that will trade and barter, that will supply goods and services outside of the fiat dollar market. When you find these individuals, and whenever those individuals are around, do everything that you can to maximize and do the majority of your business, goods acquiring, with those individuals, and continue to seek out a less and less interaction with chain stores, with corporations. You know, continue to get your services done as locally as you can and through barter. Ask about the various things they need. Start growing food or things that you can use to trade. Start producing a product into the market that does not require the Federal Reserve, that does not require the fiat dollar. If you want to trade in it, that's okay. Say you have corn and you want to trade corn and nobody has anything you want, so you'll take $10 a bushel or whatever it is that you're going to sell it for, and then transfer that money directly into something that you do want or that will hold value. And this is a game that your community should be playing, ever expanding, ever growing. Use cooperative buys, get together, and all of you pitch in and say, well, we're all going to pitch in $100 because we can't afford more than that, and the 10 of us are going to go together and buy $1,000 worth of silver so that we can get it at a reduced price, and then we'll divvy it up. These are the things that I'm talking about when I'm talking about creating a community and bringing people together, because there is no other way. Okay, yep. Maintaining and playing within these markets, playing with this paper market, with these bond markets, playing with anything that is involved with this government or this market, you need to boycott. You need to simply stop participating. Bring it to a screeching halt. You know, this is what we're looking at here. You need an ultimate game changer. And Charlie McGrath is with us, finally.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much for giving me that few minutes. I was finishing a thought on a video that had, I don't know what you opened with. It sounded like financial news. I'm reading, I sent you a few articles earlier, and, here's the deal. I don't even know where to go with this. I want to read this headline, if you don't mind, Eric.
It's from the Daily Gun. Go ahead.
Yeah, from the Daily News. New York Fed bombing plot proves the terror threat is real. A little later on in this article, it gives you all the bull crap about this thwarted event. In this particular propaganda piece from the New York Daily News, it doesn't even mention that it was a complete and total FBI sting operation. But it does say, congratulations, agents, for having a cooperative citizen in just the right place when we needed him. And they're, of course, speaking to a lunatic fringe internet chat room where this guy was hanging out, that the FBI used, obviously, to bait him into going along with this jihadist plan. I'm not saying this guy isn't a nut. I'm not saying he's not a murderer, potentially. But I am saying this. Our nation has been sold this lie that we are under constant threat. We've spent trillions of dollars. We're so far into debt we can never possibly get out of it without a major collapse and giving all of our freedom up to a bunch of bankers. We've been sold this bill of goods on false pretenses. This guy, 21-year-old Bangladeshi, he does not have the capacity, the resources, or wherewithal to carry out a 1,000-pound bombing mission on the New York Federal Reserve. He didn't have the material. He didn't have the equipment. He didn't have the knowledge. He didn't have the this is not a proven fact yet, but my thought is he didn't have the forethought to do this. It was planted into his head because he was mad. He was mad because he went into a chat room, started talking with other people, and got him mad, and he was led down this path to jihad. And you know what? The charges against him are going to be he's trying to use the weapon of mass destruction and give material to support to Al-Qaeda. He's a belligerent actor. But who is the one giving material support to these would-be terrorists? It is our own government. Again, a 1,000-pound bomb, a van to carry it in, and the technology to pull this off, all provided material support from our own government. This makes absolutely no sense. Who is buying this garbage? One lie after another in order for us to sit back and say it's a good thing that our Constitution is on fire. It's a good thing that our freedom is evaporating. It's a good thing that 100 miles in, all around this nation, here in Montana, down in Texas, on the East Coast and the West Coast, 100 miles in has turned into this security zone that is nothing more than a 100-mile invisible gate to keep the prisoners in. It isn't to keep these terrorists out. It's to keep us in. This build out a security and industrial complex, it isn't to fight terrorism, right? It's to fight the uprising that's going to come out of the collapse that's inevitable. We have to be absolute foolish morons, keep buying into this over and over and over again. So we see this terror plot comes out. We see Ray Kelly, Commissioner of Police in New York, get on the television and say, well, it's understandable that after 11 years since 9/11, that folks are going to become complacent. It's really important that we stay vigilant and blasé. Look, be vigilant. Be vigilant and look what's happening to your nation. Be vigilant and look what's really happening inside of the Department of Motherland Security, okay? Because what's happening is the destruction of your country, the destruction of your freedom, and they're going to turn this thing on you. That's it. What else would they have this build out for? To protect us from 21-year-old Bangladeshis? To protect us from a bunch of morons up in Cleveland that couldn't screw in a light bulb together with the brain power between them? And these are the ones that we're spending trillions of dollars and destroying this nation's future over? Wake up! Wake up! They're coming after the people of this nation because they know what's about to be unleashed on us. Eric Lovely.
Well, I think continuing to play the stupidity game, because if there were this many terrorists, something would happen to where they couldn't catch the individual. There would be something would be blown up. Yeah, they'd be catching 90% of them and patting themselves on the back, but the only thing that ever seems to happen is they paid some guy or promised him that they will give, $250,000 to his family to take care of him for the rest of their life if he goes and does this act. That's where these stories generally boil down to. That some angry individual is motivated that Al-Qaeda will take care of their family forever if they just go do this one thing. And that's really where it seems to boil down. And it's quite ridiculous that society is continuing to devolve into this type of conversation.
I agree. All right, we're going to be back with more Wide News Radio in just a few minutes, guys. Hang tight.
Turn up.
McGrath of WideAwakeNews.com here with a question for my friends at Austin Rare Coins and Bullion. What do they know that we don't? Insiders and a who's who list of elite have made it crystal clear that we are headed for catastrophe, putting out warning after warning, urging people to batten down the hatches. Billionaire George Soros has recently been dumping stocks and at the same time acquiring millions in gold. In fact, in a recent interview, he was quoted as saying, "I'm not here to cheer you up. The situation is as serious and difficult as I've experienced in my career." Out of control government deficit spending and a Federal Reserve that's only solution seems to be print more fiat currency will lead to a weaker dollar and massive inflation on necessity items such as energy and food. If you have wealth to protect, please visit my friends at Austin Rare Coins and Bullion. Gabe Elton and the folks at Austin Rare Coins and Bullion have many Wide Awake News customers because they're honest, they're fair, and they won't sell you paper promises or product they do not have. Call Gabe Elton at 800-552-4109. That number again, 800-552-4109, or visit them online at austincoins.com.
Remember this name, Carnivora. That's CARNIVORA.com. What if I told you that this 100% pure and natural product was delivered directly to the White House at President Reagan's personal request at a time when only the president was able to obtain it? Reagan used this amazing product, Carnivora, successfully, a product derived only from nature that has the intelligence to instinctively attack abnormal cells only without harming a single normal cell, and the power to actually wake up critical immune cells from dormancy to attack foreign invaders that don't belong in our bodies. Carnivora is now obtainable by anyone who wants to get healthy and stay that way. Call 1-866-VENUS-FLY and protect yourself with 17 naturally occurring compounds that will unleash powerful immune defense. That's 1-866-VENUS-FLY. Call 1-866-VENUS-FLY and get your Carnivora today. Visit carnivora.com.
Will 2012 bring the Mayan end of world or the global banking collapse? In 2007, one man, Mike Dillard, made 5 predictions which forecasted the 2008 economic crisis and the pending Eurozone collapse. This week, Mike unleashes 3 brand new, shocking, must-watch videos with predictions for the coming year. www.the3videos.com. Over the past year, Mike Dillard has helped thousands of ordinary people create and recover wealth by tapping into the black box investing strategies the big banks don't want you to know about. www.the3videos.com. As the European banking system implodes and governments collapse at breakneck speeds, the next 12 months will be the most anticipated and important months in modern human history. This will make 2008 look like a walk in the park. Everyone will be affected. Go to www.the3videos.com now. Learn how to prepare your family and prosper during the global financial collapse.
Go.
Welcome back. Welcome back to Wide Awake News Radio. I'm Charlie McGrath. Eric Lovely is joining. We are sitting here on Thursday, the 18th of October. And if you're not in the chat room, please join us in there. Coming up, hour number 2, Matt Widener, attorney Matt Widener, and candidate Matt Widener is going to be joining us. We weren't able to get him on the other night because I had to personal stuff to take care of, so he's graciously agreed to join us in the second hour. During the break, Eric and I were, I told him, I said, look, man, I'm in a really, really weird place over the, waking up and dealing with all this information on yet another Joint Terrorism Task Force capture, and how it's becoming more glamorous and more glorious, and we have a mainstream media that is saying a bunch of garbage like, oh, thank goodness we have concerned citizens out there at the right place at the right time. This is a lie, ladies and gentlemen. This is a lie. This is all a lie. How many thousands of American men and women are dead right now because of this war on terror? And it isn't because the terror is happening in this country. It's because we're invading nations under false pretenses. We're invading countries and killing people under false pretenses. And there's thousands of Americans who are dead right now that can attest to that fact. And there's millions probably of people around this world that are dead right now that can attest to that fact. And when it's brought home and we have these sting operations, and people are going to be just pounding the drums of war about we got to go after these Terror 11 terrorists, and just propagating the whole engine that is led to the destruction of any semblance of freedom. I'm not even going to say Constitution anymore, because as we talked about the other night, Eric, it's gone. It doesn't exist. Freedom doesn't. I mean, freedom. We hear this word all the time, but we don't have it. We don't have anything next to it. And I told Eric during the break that I don't know how much longer that we will have the ability to exchange ideas and thought on any platform. Any platform. And it doesn't matter if it's internet radio or YouTube or, we're going to get to the days of Ben Franklin where we have a printing press and we're putting up flyers and that's it. Underground, Eric?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's kind of, you definitely see the very real idea of something like that coming to be again, like an underground information, because, I mean, I don't even know if we'll have that ability. More like you'll see pockets from the movie. I can't remember what the one movie with Denzel Washington in it or whatever, where he's trying to carry the Bible across the country. But
Book of Eli.
Yeah, I think it's called the Book of Eli. But you're going to see pockets of communities, those who prepare. Now, that's something we talked about. And everybody wants solutions. They want some kind of grandiose solution. They're constantly asking me for solutions, and I talk about the same thing again. It's like what I opened the program with. You're going to have to build one of those communities. There's no other way around it. You don't have a choice. If you want survival, if you want social evolve, if you want us to socially evolve and become better people and achieve true freedom, you're going to have to build these communities. And unfortunately, which means you have to defend those communities. Thomas Jefferson, he said it so eloquently. And he said, well, because he was asked once, and I can't remember the gentleman's name, but the gentleman asked him, he said, well, what rights do we have? Now, instead of talking about the Bill of Rights, Thomas Jefferson replied as this: the only rights that any man truly has are the ones he's willing to die for. That was his response. He didn't talk about the Second Amendment. He didn't talk about anything else. He gave a clear-cut response that the only way you really have anything is to put your life on the line for it. If it's something that you believe in, and freedom is what you believe in, then you got to be all in. There's no second guessing, and you can't wait for some knight in shining armor to come galloping down the road. You can't wait for Eric Lovely to drop out of a helicopter, write some writ, and everything just be fixed for you. It isn't going to work that way. They're not going to surrender. They're not going to give up. Okay, you're dealing with with a different type of entity, a different creature. It's evil in nature. Okay, it's pervasive, it's provocative, it murders, it steals, it lies, it cheats. I mean, it's going to continue doing those things until you defeat it. And really when we start talking about these communities, you can even go the biblical direction. It is time for the good men to stop doing nothing. It is time for the good men to be good men and start building a society for their families and forgetting about the people who live on Mount High.
Yeah. I like the notion of community. I mean, and you and I spoke to that in the break, that's where we're at, man. You better know who's around you. You better understand where your support is, and you better understand who you can trust and who you can't trust. I mean, we have the snitch brigade out there. We have this see something, say something mentality that's just being pumped into a society, and it's going to be, I mean. This isn't new, Eric. I mean, we've seen this over and over again throughout history. We'll have, half the people on the government dole and half the people terrified to say anything outside. You can't even say outside the confines of your own home. Be terrified to think anything that is anti-establishment.
It's really. I'm telling you, here's what is so dangerous. The model that is being used is so close to the Nazi model of society policing itself and turning each other in, and the way that the Nazis approached it from such a propaganda. I mean, community. Once again, you're back to community, because you need to vet the individuals who are moving in and about your life. You have to know who they are, where they're, not even to change their mind. Find out what their ideological spectrum is, and if they're one of the sheeple, if they're one of the drones, they're going to turn you in. They're going to do whatever they can to benefit themselves by imprisoning you. This is what's happening. Society is being torn asunder. And if you want it to survive in the right way, in a moral way, in a free market economy where the individual rights of everyone born on this planet are upheld, then you're going to have to rebuild it from the ground up, each little piece, because it's all gone. Like Richard, the caller, the other day, and me and Charlie talked about the Constitution. I can tell you all about the law that once was, but it isn't the law that is today. And if you want that law back, you're going to have to fight for it. You're going to have to build for it. And it's going to be one nail scratch an inch after another, and not one single inch is ever going to come easy.
All right, let's do this break. Second break of Wide Awake News Radio. We'll be back with Eric Lovely and myself, Charlie McGrath, in just a few minutes. Hang tight. Charlie McGrath of WideAwakeNews.com here with a message about Legacy Premium freeze-dried storable food, available at BuyEmergencyFoods.com. I recently returned from a trip to the manufacturing facility, and I'm here to tell you it was impressive. Over 50 employees working hard to produce the highest quality, best tasting, most healthy, certified GMO-free freeze-dried storable food on the market. And now that I've been to the manufacturing facility, I can tell you, from receiving to production to shipping, these guys have one thing in mind. That is quality. Plain and simple. Please, do yourself, do your loved ones a favor. Be prepared for an uncertain future with Legacy Premium freeze-dried storable foods available at BuyEmergencyFoods.com. You can call them at 888-543-7345. That number again, 888-543-7345, or better yet, visit them online at BuyEmergencyFoods.com.
You're listening to Charlie nationwide and worldwide on the Internet, on the Rents Radio Network. Known worldwide as the most consistently fascinating, informative, and unique program on radio, the Jeff Rense program can be yours to listen to anytime, anywhere, whenever you want to hear it. For pennies a day, our subscribers can download any of Jeff's thousands of programs featuring a treasury of newsmakers, researchers, eyewitnesses, and incredible subjects, all in MP3 commercial-free, crystal-clear 56-bit digital sound, and take these often unforgettable programs with them wherever they go. As a subscriber, you can also listen live at airtime, online, anywhere in the world, or browse through our archives of over 10,000 hours of legendary broadcasts. Subscribe now by taking the link at the top of Rents.com. And enrich your mind with the most unique panorama of vital information and the best independent, honest journalism in radio. Look for the Subscribe Now link on Rents.com and give yourself the knowledge you need for these unprecedented times.
Heart-related health problems affect millions of people each year. Maybe you're one of the many who suffer from issues related to angina pain, high blood pressure, congestive heart failure, unbalanced cholesterol, irregular heartbeat, or clogged arteries. There is a solution that doesn't involve expensive prescription drugs that only mask the problem and leave you with horrible side effects. If you are ready to live your life free of sickness, pain, and fear, live your life with increased vitality, energy, and youthfulness, and experience your body healing itself, then you're ready for Heart and Body Extract from Healthy Hearts Club. Heart and Body Extract has a 23-year proven track record of using certified organic herbs that make up an excellent formula to balance and support the heart and circulatory system. In as little as 2 weeks, you can feel amazing results when your 2-month supply of Heart and Body Extract today. Call 1-866-295-5305 or go to hbextract.com.
Welcome back to Wide Awake News Radio. I'm Charlie McGrath, your host. Me and Eric both were. Eric, you with me? All right, we're gonna keep trying to get Eric on the line. Brent, I'm assuming I'm broadcasting here, so I'm just gonna run with it. Both of us were talking during the break about where we're at as far as the manufacturer. Matter of fact, we were trying to think of titles for this video I put out, which has everything to do with this terror plot, yet another terror plot. And he was coming. He was in his normal Eric Lovely fashion. He was coming up with some pretty colorful titles, but Phony 2012, play on Coney 2012. Guys, I'm literally beyond disgusted with where we're at, beyond disgusted with where we're going. I think Eric Lovely's got it right when he talks about building community. I believe that's the stage where we're at. You either know who's around you, know who's with you, or you run the risk of being alone in this whole thing. Standing there by yourself, waiting for the knock on the door, especially if you're involved at all in activism. If you're involved at all at the all right, Eric wants me to add him back. Here we go. Eric, you with me?
I'm here.
It's really choppy.
Yeah.
Though.
I seem to have some internet difficulties.
Well, there's something new.
Yes. So I don't know where you left off.
Actually, you've had that completely fixed for the last several months, but probably on the topic. Here's the deal. I mean, they caught this kid, this terrorist, 21-year-old. They caught him in an internet chat room. So guys, if you're in chat right now, use your brain. And obviously, this isn't in our chat room because it's monitored, and we have people that make sure that people don't get themselves in trouble. But if you're going around on the internet and thinking that your thoughts, first of all, you got to believe that this is true. I mean, if you believe that this is true, that this kid's out there trolling around on the internet looking for trouble, okay, we'll buy that. Because there's idiots out there that will get in here and say ridiculous things, or any other chat room and say ridiculous things, but if you think that it's okay to go into a chat room or anywhere else, and I mean visit sites, visit sites that are and think they're not going to be watched, or the people visiting them are not going to be tracked. Come on, man, wake up. This is 2012, man. We hear about cybersecurity every other day. We see the build out of security state. Understand, there's nothing you do isn't tagged or tracked or earmarked or booked or reported on. And if that causes you to shut down the internet, I don't blame you. I really don't. If it causes you never to come into the chat room, I don't blame you, because I guarantee you, I can assure you that this chat room is on somebody's list. This radio program, this network, this genre is being watched. Eric?
Well, I have a little different of opinion. I say that you should log in more, that you should continue to speak out, that you should draw that attention to yourself, that you should continue to be a nail in their side, and that you should do it even more and even harder. And that
I'm not saying don't do it. I'm saying be aware that if you're out here doing it, if you're out here in any capacity, and I'm talking about you like one of my commentary videos or something Eric writes, and you send it to somebody, any capacity, understand that isn't an action that's innocuous. It's an action that very potentially could be monitored, watched. We'll talk a little bit more about that with Matt on the next hour too.
And even if you don't, too, people don't even understand. Facial recognition software. If you take a video of me speaking somewhere, and then you post that video of me to your YouTube channel, even if it's not an outlet that I use, then they will track that information and use facial recognition software on individuals within the video. You see, this is what I'm saying. When we look at this, you must be aware that wholeheartedly up front that seeking out the truth and attempting to create a free society is a dangerous thing. It is no longer a game of just ideology. It is now a game of life. And the system is set to stop you, to imprison you, to have you carted off and taken away. And, the propaganda has your neighbors programmed to believe that when they show up to take you away, that, well, that's just the natural way of things. That when people start breaking out in guerrilla warfare, they're already going to be exposed to those what they call it right now, terrorist activity, which at some point will be guerrilla freedom fighters within America doing the same kinds of things, and the majority will write those individuals off as terrorists. It's to get a pre-programmed response when something actually takes place. When there are real guerrilla warfare fighters inside the borders of America, everybody will simply call them terrorists, and that's what all the millions of rounds were for, and boy, good thing they knew it was coming, right? Oh, it's a good thing they really caught all them terrorists at the beginning, and they got all that weaponry now to deal with them. This is what is coming down the road, and, the Nazis...
It was diligence. It was diligence that we loaded the armory.
And just to look at the way the Nazis took over, the way that cancer spread, it's the exact cancer you have here right now. And if you don't believe it, they're simply separating people into groups. And they're taking those little groups one chunk at a time. And, I can't remember exactly how the poem went, but, at what point are you going to stop and say, well, wait a minute, let me band together with these other groups. Let's start creating our own community. Let's take away their power center. The government structure is nothing without you. It can't. Karen Tostada has one of the greatest points. You are the government. If you don't pay taxes, if you don't play in their economic pool, if you don't do anything in their environment, they have no power. Are they going to force you? And see, that's the great thing, because if they come to force you to play in their market, then you have an undoubtable answer. You know who your enemy is, and you know what's going on. This is the reason why I always talk about forcing issues, forcing things to happen. If you simply do not comply and force the tyrannical glove to come out, then there's no mistaking it. You will know exactly who the enemy is and that they are evil.
Yeah. You'll know when they come knocking on your door. You'll know when they, want to shut you down. And we've seen, look back at the heavy hand of government in this country. In this country, we can look at Waco. Of course, most people are convinced that, that was deserved. But, when you look at the real story of Waco, you realize that a bunch of people were murdered. A bunch of people were murdered because of a what, Eric? Sting operation.
Yeah, children burned alive. Women and children.
Because of a sting operation.
Yeah, because of a sting operation, you had women and children who came pouring out the back of a building that was being burnt down, from the outside and from the roof in. And as they came out the back building, you can look at the videotape. They're mowed down by machine gun fire. They're simply mowed down. Women and children shot like they were dogs.
We're going to be back with Eric Lovely and more Happy Time Radio. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Hang tight. Hey guys, Charlie McGrath here at WideAwakeNews.com, and I'm here to tell you I believe that Chris and the folks over at SeedsNow.com offer the best product at the best prices with the best service of anybody in the market. But don't take my word for it. Listen to what some of their customers have to say. Joshua in Florida writes, exceeded my expectations. Shipping was prompt and a number of my plants are already starting to sprout. Thanks for being great. And Ryan in California writes, I just received my homestead seed bank, my all-in-one prepper pack, and seed-to-seed storage and growing guidebook, and I could not be more pleased. Thanks, Seeds Now. Now I can start growing and get off the GMOs. Keep up the great work. And the list goes on and on. Guys, it's time to make SeedsNow.com an integral part of your long-term preparedness strategy. Please call them at 877-344-4669. That number again, 877-344-4669, or better yet, visit them today at seedsnow.com.
If you're taking 1, 2, 5, or more nutritional supplements, please stop. Simplify your supplementation with Bio Superfood, the most advanced nutritional whole food supplement you can buy. Men, women, children, even Olympic athletes the world over have discovered Bio Superfood from BioAge.com. And now take just one nutritional supplement instead of many. The Bio Superfood formulas are whole food products composed with 4 of the most nutrient-dense algae found on Earth. Bio Superfood for the brain helps with focus, memory, clarity, and mood. If you can increase brain health, the rest of the body is a no-brainer. Bio Superfood has 0 toxicity and is safe for you and your family. Learn more and order your Bio Superfood formulas at BioAge.com, spelled BIOAGE.com, BioAge.com, or call 877-288-9116. That's 877-288-9116. BioAge, the age of advanced organics.
Are chemtrail geoengineering programs changing our weather and destroying our environment? Why in the world are they spraying?
They want to create a storm in the southeast, then they'll start engineering out over the North Pacific. That's where the tradies will be.
Find out why critics are calling Why in the World Are They Spraying the most important film that is revolutionizing the environmental movement.
It's just going to get worse until the point where we're not going to be able to grow anything at all unless it's a Monsanto genetically modified, abiotic stress resistant seed.
Why in the world are they spraying? New international version with languages available from around the world. For 1 month, Rinse listeners receive free shipping. Go to the banner on the front of the Rinse website and click on the link for more info.
It's all about money, and weather is another form of commoditizing, a way the Central Command Group can commoditize another form of our life.
Why in the world are they spraying?
And if you control the weather, you're going to control the planet. It's that simple.
Make a promise, take a vow, trust your fears, it's easy now. Understand the voice within and feel a change already beginning.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Wide Awake News broadcast.
Just wait. I know you just wait because you know it drives me crazy, and I know you wait till that music's completely done because you know that I'm like burning to say something, don't you?
No, man, I'm sorry. My bad.
I know you're doing that. Because this is what I know about you, Eric Lovely. You know how much time we have to the exact second between every commercial break. You know exactly how long every commercial break is, and you can equate that to what the commercial breaks were a year and 3 months ago, and probably down to the day. So I know full well that you know that I start speaking with about 5 seconds of music going, and then we roll into the to the segment, and I get all panicky when I don't. Yeah, I know what you're doing. I caught on.
It'll be all right.
It'll be okay.
There are a lot of people that, as we continue this conversation, that's the reason why I've changed my presentation, and I've changed the molding of how I present ideas. I could sit and talk till I'm blue in the face, like I said before about, we could take any number of documents and talk about how it impacted freedom and what year freedom died or didn't die and things of that nature. Well, now, I want to talk about building tomorrow. I want to talk to people. I want people to be listening and taking notes and understanding where law actually originates from when we're talking about true freedom and who has the sovereignty. Your police officers, your local officials can't have sovereignty unless you start out with it. You have to loan them your authority. So when you're looking at these things, sovereignty starts by the individual. Now, how do you want society to be based? Do you want the individual to be a slave, just a member of a big organism that is governed and controlled by the elites? Or do you want each individual piece of that society to be its own independent automaton that thinks for itself, that operates for itself, that is judged solely on its existence, not on its sex, not on its creed, color, nationality, none of these things? So, these are really the building blocks that have to be going on right now because you have to build that society nearly from scratch, except for the people who are in the chat room following people like Charlie McGrath, following people like me and listening. Most people are lost, so you're going to have to build it one brick at a time. And if you don't have enough bricks to work with where you are, then you need to move to where there are better bricks and more bricks available. People who don't want to do that or don't see the logic in that, well, then you make your own decision. You make your own bed. You're the one that's going to have to lie in it.
Absolutely, no doubt. And for anybody wondering if Eric's done any of this, you actually have. I mean, you lived in Florida, now you live in the undisclosed location. For exactly that reason, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, we discarded property. We completely changed a way of life. We moved, about 3,000 miles across the country, better air, wildlife. We left the city, Trust me, it isn't the easiest thing to do, but you adjust and you get to understand what beauty is. And, instead of getting up and running out the door in the morning and just diving in your car and smog and the neighbors and all the houses, there are trees, there are animals, there's real things in front of you, and there's a way to build a tomorrow. I mean, people really just don't understand the miles and miles of nothingness that is right outside your cities. Just traveling 3,000 miles across country, there are miles and 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 miles of nothing. Nothing. No human existence that I can see at all, except for one road traveling off into the distance in a forest. That's what it is. And people just don't understand that it is time to, there's one thing that Warren Pollack had right. It is time for a psychological evolution. It is time for us to start thinking about, on an individual level, what freedom really, truly is and what it truly means, and then start building that society. It's it. Mm-hmm. There's nobody in the markets. There's nobody in politics. There's nobody who's going to come in on the shining horse and do it for you. It can't be done. It has to be us. It has always had to been us. And it has always had to been the way that I'm saying, because we're too far gone. There is nothing left of the old republic. Nothing. Except memories and some colors that flap around on a pole.
Nothing to say to that. I mean, nothing to add to that. I mean, I'd love to sit here and argue that there's still a spirit of independence and freedom, but time has proved that to be false. There's lip service to it. There's a little bit of phony patriotism that's sold into the public realm, and there's people who grab onto it and think they're free because they can still buy beer and there's Thursday night football. And not only is there Sunday and Monday, but now there's Thursday, and the lights are still on. So I'm free. I can say what I want. I can do what I want. And the notion that even this is going to last is a pipe dream, Eric. The notion that even everything as status quo. Look, to maintain status quo in this country, the standard of living that people have, and even though it's decreasing, but to maintain the status quo, with lights being on, with beer being in the fridge, with football game on television, with everything with a aura of normalcy around it, you literally have to throw the nation, you have to double its national debt every couple of years in order to do this. We are not going to get there. We're not going to get there. It's not going to continue. It's going to come to a screeching halt. And if you're in a community and I'm not even saying it's necessary to chuck it all and head to, the middle of nowhere, as Eric has. I think it's a great idea. He's probably safe. I feel comfortable where I'm at in the middle of Montana. But if you don't have the resources to leave, if you don't have the resources to go across the country, and you, at the very minimum, need to understand who's living next to you, understand who's living behind you, above you if you're in an apartment building, below you if you're in an apartment building. Understand and talk and knock on the door and say, hey, this is this is what I believe. And they might think you're a nut, but at least you know who's there, and they know what you stand for, and they know that if it really did hit the fan, they're going to think twice before they knock on your door if their intentions are anything but honorable. But if you go ahead.
Well, I don't want to cut you off, but you're right, and we did move. Because there are specific reasons. Now, if you cannot move and you cannot get out, say you live in a rural environment, if you live in the city, I don't know what to tell you. You're in serious trouble. You have so many issues, so many problems to overcome that I can't simply begin to talk about how bad it's going to be for you. But if you have, if you live in a city block community where there is some grass, okay, and you have some type of something like grass yard available to you, you should know who your neighbors are. You should be ripping up that grass and planting something in that grass that is worthwhile.
Seed bomb.
Yeah, even if it's only just a little itty-bitty teeny bit, grow up out of the ground, build yourself so that you grow up instead of outwards. You know what I mean? You grow up off of the ground and continue to expand that way and get to know your neighbors and start trading food with them. Start thinking about what perimeters will be. If you live on a cul-de-sac and there's only one main way in, and start thinking about what you're going to do for a perimeter in the evenings to on your exposed sides to looters and things of that nature who are going to try to get after your farming. Everybody planting in one spot and coordinating with each other that you're all going to plant closer together so that all of your food supply is easier to maintain control and keep watch over from anybody who may come and try to take it. I mean, these are the things we're talking about because you're moving into a third world existence, maybe even fourth world. I'm telling you, it's not going to be a good thing. And the only way to truly rebel, the only way to truly make change is to build those communities. And I don't know how else to say it to people. I really, really hope they get it. But if you're in an apartment setting, man, I don't know what to say. Maybe some people will be successful at that. Great. But I don't see how it's going to work out for you. You're going to be eating sewer rats and drinking sewer water because the municipalities will just simply turn your water off if you want to resist them. And then what are you going to do? Okay? This is the reality. They have too much power over your basic necessities within a city environment. That's a problem.
Sewer rat. My fave.
Hey, sewer rat burgers.
2 minutes left. Stephen from Oregon. Thank you for the call. What is on your mind, sir?
Charlie, this is more for Eric. I love you, but it's more for Eric. You know, and I kind of, you know, I don't have a lot of money or anything, but I set myself up pretty well just to be innovative. And because I was lucky enough to know how to fix things and do certain things at a younger age, I set myself up, not perfect, but not so bad either. But, man, Eric, gosh darn, man, sometimes I get up and I go, why do I even go out and build and what I build? Why do I even do it? It's going to take it away from me. I get very, I'm not depressed, but unmotivated. And I'm a very motivated person. If you could see what I've accomplished here on a little bit of money, you'd be very impressed. But, man, the motivation level, because I think that, man, they're just going to just come and take it away from me anyway. They're just going to do whatever. You get up, and, man, I remember when I was, like, in my 20s and 30s, I'd be having a blast. But now that I know what I know, do you understand what I'm talking about?
Eric, that was for you.
For Eric.
I think we might have
Charlie,
lost Eric.
you can do it. You can do it. That's okay, Charlie. What do you think about what I just said? That's fine.
And I'm looking at it now. We did lose him. You know, I would say that don't let that. I understand what you're saying. I do, and I even said to Eric during the break. I'm gonna try to keep this brief because we have the music play here in a second.
I hear you.
That I don't know how much longer we're going to have before that he gets a knock on his door, I get a knock on my door. So I don't know. I know that people that speak out are in the spotlight, and people who prep are in the spotlight. But that doesn't mean that you just roll over and die. It means you prepare even that much more and get your mind in the place that it needs to be, which is you have what you have. It is yours. This is yours, and you're going to defend it.
And enjoy it on a daily thing. Just enjoy it on a daily thing. I do enjoy it. It's just having a hard time. Anyway, I didn't mean to be a thing. It's just, I don't know. I thought it was an interesting subject.
No, I like the point of enjoying, even though that we do live in, look at the headlines today and you see these terror plots and realize that, because you understand what's happening, you look into it and you realize, well, look, they're making another play for keeping you afraid and spinning us into oblivion and, going after the cyber security legislation and making excuses for why we need to expand this. And you understand it, but, you do what you can do to provide for you and yours and enjoy it, enjoy what you have on a day-to-day basis. I think that's critical because if you don't, then why bother doing it all? If you're going
I'll call you back on this subject another day. Thank you. You're awesome.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you calling in. All right, guys, we're going to take a break here, and when we